This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City kick off a 4-match road trip against Austin FC. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Yeah, there it is. We've got the mobile, the remote camera on this one with the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. This, the site of Copa America 2 matches where they shrunk the field to 70 yards wide, but it's back to the normal 75-yard wide standard for the big match tonight, New York City FC, as Chris Sakonis told you in his little intro on this, what will be rather arduous 4-game road trip. Yep. All right, here we are. Hey, I'm Glenn Crooks, Matty Lawrence, and we're with you to provide the live commentary tonight. But as always, 45 minutes before kickoff, we're with you here on NYCFC Pregame Live. Really, when you look at the all-time series between these two, well, they've never played. So Austin's been unbeaten. Both teams, both coaches, without a mark against in this series. 2021 is when Austin was born. Josh Wolf was the coach then. He continues to be the coach now. He's got his 19-year-old kid, Owen Wolf, in the starting lineup tonight, so that's pretty cool. New York City, as we know, they began their services in 2015, and in that 2021 season, won MLS Cup. Q2 Stadium, I think it's interesting to note that they did host the 2 Copa America matches, Venezuela, Jamaica, and Cascante, their central defender, very key player in their group, came back to play, and apparently it was packed with Venezuelans, a great atmosphere, always a good atmosphere here. This is the 11th home game, and all of them have sold out. Costa Rica, Paraguay was the other one, and the U.S. men's national team just announced, Matty, and I'm leading to something here, that they and we'll talk about New York City FC in a moment too, but the U.S. men's national team is returning to Q2 for the 5th time. They played 4 previous matches here. They've really come to really enjoy this venue, and they're going to play Panama. Now the irony sets in. They're playing Panama on October the 12th, and it was the loss to Panama which has set the U.S. Soccer, the Federation, ablaze with the cries for Greg Berhalter's sacking by a lot of the supporters and members of the media. I think you've been steadfast in the fact that you just I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you never thought Berhalter was quite the right fit, and now as Fox Soccer through sources, they said midweek there'll be some sort of announcement about the fate of Greg Berhalter, and this is the guy, and he may be the former men's national team coach soon, and won't have he won't have the opportunity to come back to Q2 with that team. That's an October the 12th match against Panama, and what that's all about, Matty, is the matches are few and far between now without having a knockout round game, or maybe at least one, either against Brazil or Colombia, as you prepare for the World Cup in 26, a pretty major event here in the States.
Yeah, look, Glenn, that was the longest intro ever. You not only unicycled, but hula hooped your way through that. It was magnificent. I loved it. Wait
till you hear the 4-minute Wilfred Nancy clip.
I can't wait for that. Well, actually, I have listened to it, and I can't wait for that. The serious thing is, look, Berhalter failed, so you have to go. If you fail time and time again, which he has, in my opinion, if he fails to make the team better month upon month or year upon year or tournament upon tournament, you're not having a positive effect on the team, therefore the nation as a whole. So you deserve to go. That's factual for me. If you fail, if you don't make your players better, then let's bring somebody else in. There's been a lot of calls for a Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola, a Pochettino, and look, a place like this as well. Let's go back to this place, Q2 Stadium, deserves to host US men's national team games and winning US men's national team games as well. And as you said, I have always said that Berhalter, in my opinion, would never be up to the job. Hasn't managed at a high enough level. Hasn't coached at a high enough level. I thought that the players were slowly but surely, or quite quickly, outgrowing him.
Do you remember being comfortable with a manager and perhaps not reaching your peak as a player, or maybe not feeling as driven? Because that was part of the comfort level, because the players supported his return.
Yeah, the players.
Even after the Panama match, or after the Uruguay match, which was the last loss, which eliminated the U.S., but there were still a couple of players say we'd run through a brick wall for this guy.
Well, I haven't seen them.
No.
So prove it.
I know.
And they haven't. They haven't done that. And of course, the players who are in the current squad stand up for Berhalter because he keeps picking them. How about we ask some of the players who aren't in the squad, ask them what they think of Berhalter, and then we'll have a difference of opinion, I'm sure. But look, to lose to Panama, yes, I know Weah got sent off, but Colombia just had 2 goals past Panama before Timothy Weah had even got sent off. They were 2-0 up in the 15th minute. Weah didn't get sent off to the 18th minute.
Yeah.
The proof is there. The proof's in the pudding.
Sure.
And the fact that it's taking the US Federation, whoever it is, who needs to come to the conclusion midway through next week that his position isn't tenable, it beggars belief for me. But again, what do I know? I've always said, I'll go back to England as well. I don't think Gareth Southgate is the man for the England job. So this is not me just picking on Berhalter and the US. Closer to home for me, I think Southgate is in a similar position. Never managed or coached at a high enough level to get the national team job and shouldn't be in that position. But we will see what the US Soccer Federation, in all their pomp and dignitary and all that, see what they come up with.
Something's going to happen soon. That's what we anticipate. And we've already talked about it, but it was really just a coincidence. There's not really a connection with the end of Copa America and B.J. Callahan, Berhalter's top assistant, getting hired by Nashville SC to replace Gary Smith. That was in the works for a good long period of time, and the plan was for B.J. to take over after Copa America whenever it ended. So Berhalter remains the coach, or had remained the coach. We'll find out. B.J. Callahan was not going to be in the plans there. Now, before we get to the game proper, so here again, we're at the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas, another kind of music city, Austin. So before we get to the game, we have to talk about the fact that we came in on match day -2 with the team. So we got a chance to wander around a little bit. Now, this is late afternoon, and we walk into this place called Friends. Sonny Wolf playing George Thorogood, and I'm telling you, man, I didn't really want to leave the place, but
we shouldn't have.
We probably shouldn't have. No, where did we go? We went to watch the Argentina match, right?
In the Courtyard Marriott.
Wow. We went from a cool music joint to the Courtyard Marriott bar. But anyway, so that was, and then one of my favorite spots, and it's and this is ironically the MLS All-Star game is going to be played at Q2. Another bit of irony here. Next year, 2025, they made the announcement at this great venue, Antone's, another music establishment. I went last night. Matty would not come with me, but he had other plans, but that's okay. But here I am standing outside of Antone's. There's nothing up on the placard because on July 4th, they didn't have anything going on. Anyway, so that's there's Greg. That's the.
He won't be playing Antone's.
He's not that. Well, he might. Maybe that's his next gig. I think Berhalter will be fine no matter what the decision at midweek. But so we're in this cool spot in the country with this very cool stadium. We know the New York City's getting a soccer-specific stadium, and I'll get it. I've got it up on my phone here. And Matty, when we walked in, the unfortunate aspect of walking today is that there was a driving rainstorm, and I put a photo up, and the field really. It was drenched. There were puddles in numerous spots, but that was 3 hours before kickoff, and now we're about, I don't know, an hour, and field looks fine, and the sellout is like 20,758 here. So we figure they'll have another good turnout here. And a couple of former New York City boys involved. Yep. We got Brad Stuver in goal, and Alex Ring will start in the midfield. So they're both in the 11, and they both have played a significant role in what's happened with Austin, which expansion year, didn't make the playoffs, didn't expect to. 2022, fantastic. Great season. Josh Wolf, in some sort of anonymous poll of MLS players, he won the award for the coach that most of them would want to play for in the league. But then 23, they just 67 goals conceded. Matty, if you were a back on a team that conceded 67 goals in 34 games, you wouldn't survive that, right? You would have.
No, I wouldn't be playing, that's for certain. But look, that's 2 goals a game. It's not always down, as we know, it's not just down to the defence, but probably a large part is. But as we know, the best teams defend from the front. And they've gone through a very topsy-turvy existence, haven't they? A poor first season, which is understandable, and a great second. And then it's been a big problem for them. Conceding goals is a problem. Again, this season. Not only that, though, Glenn, it's scoring goals as well. They've only just got 1 goal per game, basically, 23 goals in 21 games. I'm not sure whether you're going to say this stat later in commentary, but I'm going to steal it from you anyway. Only 4 shots on target in the last 4 games. No shots on target in their last 2 away games. That's sacrilegious. You play 180 minutes of football away from home in the last 2 games. You do not have a shot on target. Makes it pretty hard to win a game of football, that's for sure.
Losing 2-0 to Sporting KC, their most recent result. For New York City FC, their most recent result is also 2-0, but it was home. It was against CF Montreal. It was a New York victory, and it was their second straight win on the heels of the 3-match losing skeen. And what stood out to you about the performance against Montreal? Alonso Martinez had a brace.
Alonso Martinez is finishing, although he could have had 4, but we can't bemoan the fact that he turned home 50% of his good opportunities. That's a pretty good ratio for me.
Yeah.
For me also, the fact that they kept a clean sheet. I think it's only the 4th clean sheet of the game. So that's another big thing for me as a team ethos, not only a defensive and goalkeeping ethos, a team ethos. I didn't think they played that well either, which for me is, it sounds a little bit perverse and contradictory. That's a good sign. You don't play that well. You don't play to the best of your abilities. You keep a clean sheet, you score 2 goals, you get 3 points and you move on. The biggest thing for me is the win going into the 4-game away stretch, which of course starts here. The on-the-road stretch, which is very, very not only time-consuming in terms of travel, takes a lot out of the players, and you go away from the comfort of your own home in terms of where you abide, where you live, but also where you like playing your games of football. And we know that is Citi Field or Yankee Stadium. It's going to be tough over these next 4 games. And that starts very much today here with the heat and the humidity of Texas.
Yeah, and Austin also did not have a midweek game, one of 3 teams in Major League Soccer that did not have the midweek game. There you see the starting 11 rolling. If you're watching this, if you're just listening, we'll hand it out to you. It's Matt Freese in goal. It'll be the same back 4. Kevin O'Toole, the same back 4 that ended the match against Montreal. Burke Risa went down injured. He did not make the trip, so obviously unavailable. Maxi Morales did make the trip, but he's also not available for New York City FC. So it's Strahinja Tanasevic along with Thiago Martins at the back. Tavon Gray will start. James Sands, Keaton Parks, and Andres Pereira. That's the midfield. So 3 midfielders comprise the midfielder, 3 guys. But we've seen Pereira get in the area. Yeah. See, I think you classify Parks and Pereira as twin 8s and James as 6, right? Isn't that the way we look at it?
That's how I'd want to see it, because that means that New York City FC will be more dominant. It will be an upturned triangle, won't it, with Sands at the tip at the bottom and then the 2 8s, as you say.
And then it'll be Santi Rodriguez, Alonso Martinez, and Hannes Wolf. So Santi will again be stationed out left. And Alonso Martinez rewarded with the fact that he is the striker scoring goals. He now has 8, which equals Santi for the club lead. 2 assists for Hannes Wolf. He's got 4 goals and 6 assists. So you have a little triumvirate there now that is consistently contributing to the attack.
Yeah, I stand by the fact, though, that Santi Rodriguez isn't at his best or most dominant when he's there out on the left wing. I think we will see him tuck in, of course. That leaves an awful lot of work for Kevin O'Toole, who's already put in an awful lot of work in the last few games. It makes it tough for him with the travel as well, Glenn. I think we will see possibly a more defensive game here. We've already said it. There's 3 pretty central midfielders, dominant central midfielders, rather than any of those 3 being a 10. And I don't want to say they're going to have to dig in, because I don't think they do. This Austin FC team isn't that good. The results that go before them tell us that. The fact they've only had 4 shots on target in the last 4 games.
Right.
The fact that they've only scored 23 goals in 20 games, that tells us all that they're not a very good team. But they are much more comfortable here at home. I think they've only lost 2 games.
Yeah, 5-2 and 3 at home, and they're just a notch below the playoff line in the Western Conference, while New York City is solid in their position. And I think the fact that you talked about what would happen on the road versus at home for New York City, how they'll play, that is addressed in the pregame show with Nick Cushing, which is coming up at 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 local, if you happen to be here. By the way, over 160 supporters traveling to support the boys in blue, which is an impressive number. But from what I've heard, it's a new site. It's the first time that New York City's been here, and a lot of people understand that Austin's a pretty cool spot to visit. It's been somewhat of it's not a ghost town, but as Matty pointed out to me today, he talked to a local, and this time of year, the summer, when it's really hot, a lot of the locals, they do the reverse snowbird.
They either get out of town of Austin, they get out of town as a whole, or they go down to lake houses and things like that, where it's obviously a little bit cooler. But yeah, the town has been, the city is pretty dead, but I do understand people wanting to come in. We have a similar thing back home. Obviously, there's 92 professional teams. I know that changes now because teams can get promoted from the 5th tier, the first non-league tier, if you will, but people will travel around and want to get all of those 92 league grounds ticked off. So I think certainly it would be remiss of us not to understand why people are coming here, and to a great city as a whole, Ben, and a great footballing city, great footballing location here at Q2 too.
So we're going to really enjoy painting the picture for you tonight. Yeah. So Jake Ritter has written in, hello, Glenn and Matty, going to miss having your commentary easily accessible to the broadcast. Now, what he's suggesting there is that when we broadcast home matches, Apple TV and MLS Season Pass have this drop-down feature, which is synced, so you can listen to Matty and I at any home game while you're watching it on Apple TV. Now, on the road, that's when most people, or all, except for the 160 plus that are here, are going to be watching again on Apple TV. But you have to do the sync thing. So you go on the New York City FC network. It's nycfc.com/radio. It's on the website. You can find it there. If you have the New York City FC app, you can get it there, or the TuneIn app. And then you just have to wait for kickoff and, hold things. And I don't know. It's you just have to, there's a little more work, Jake. But I'd like you to lead the way, Jake, if you would. You lead the way. I want you to write back and say, I'm going to sync tonight, and then I'll give you more.
You can lie if you want, but we're going to believe you and we're going to plug it.
Now, we're going to close this with Wilfred Nancy and Nick Cushing and Matty and me. And that is going to take us almost right up to airtime on the network for our live commentary. 2-minute rule, injury rule. That is, if you're down for more than 15 seconds and you stay in the game, that you have to be held on the sideline for 2 minutes. Your team has to play down for 2 minutes. I love Wilfred Nancy anyway, but here's Wilfred Nancy.
When the medical come into the pitch, there is 2 minutes. He has to respect 2 minutes to be out. It's a no sense. It doesn't make any sense because this is the beginning of the game. We need our player. He has pain. we have to play with 10 players because for the moment he's on the side, and plus he has to stay on the pitch, out of the pitch for 2 minutes. Again, I like innovation. I like when people try to see the game ahead. But I don't like when we block communication, because in life, communication is important. And don't try to put rules to avoid communication. Because what does it mean when we don't have communication and when we don't take responsibility? We try to go around the rules. And what the team does, all the team does, I like to do what? When they see that the players can be injured, they're gonna ask their player to stay on the ground for a long time because they know that they have 2 minutes to prepare the game. Or when a goal kick is gonna be played, instead of playing the goal kick quick, they're gonna do their laces, they're gonna try to waste time, they're gonna try to waste time for 1 minute or 1 minute and 15. Again, innovation, yes, but common sense. And imagine that we take a goal because of these 2 minutes rules. Again, we don't need to invent football. It's been many years that I like the evolution, I like VAR, yeah, there is no problem with that. But please, respect the game. Don't try to think too much, don't overthink. Respect the game. Because again, if we concede a goal because of this rule, doesn't make any sense. And I understand that teams want to waste time when they win and so on. But this is the responsibility of the referee to put a yellow card. This is the responsibility of the referee to do his job. When we are driving, cops, policemen, they are here to guide us to respect the rules. Referee is the same. And I know that referees want to do certain things because I know that this is a no-sense. And this situation have been pushed by people. But for me, there is no reason to do that. It's going against the game. Because again, if we concede a goal on this situation, I'm going to come with you and I'm going to say, yeah, we conceded a goal, but because of this rule, we have to play with 10 men, but we have an injury player. So please, don't overthink. Just respect the game. Add rules if you want. There is no problem with that, but don't try to change the dynamic of the game. We are not robots. We need this kind of a street football. Sometimes we need to teach our player how to waste time. Because when we play against Mexican team, when we play against big teams, they are so good to waste time. So we cannot be by the book. Because if we are by the book, when you're gonna face teams that they do a bit of street football, we won't be able to cope with that. Because in our league, we don't want when there is something extra, when there is something that is in between. We like when this is precise. No, life is not precise. Life you have to adjust. So again, that's my little message for tonight.
That's Wilfred dancing. I just want to show you something. We're going to comment on all this, but those are the skies right now, and you can't see that little green in the corner, that little green rectangle. It says inclement weather, and it's asking the patrons here, and not all of them are complying. I don't know if they even know it yet, to find shelter.
Yeah.
I think those were the exact words. And so my guess is there's going to be a delay in the warm-up and a delay in the game. So we're going to stay with you here on NYCFC Pregame Live because through the amazing technology that we have, we're going to go right into our pregame show on the TuneIn app, the NYCFC app, and the nycfc.com/radio, New York City FC Radio Network. So, Matty, there was so much in there.
Yeah. Now, I know you were writing notes, I were writing notes.
Yeah, we've all got notes. Let's play Nick Cushing now, and then here's what I did. I sent this to Nick, but he's already thought about it, and we've talked about it in the past, Nick and I. So here's what he said after I sent it to him.
If we take away this real emotion in the game where the fans are getting slightly frustrated and the fans are getting happy, this is all part of the game. I think Wilfred made a great point. I think the South American, Mexican teams are far better at managing games than us because they get the opportunity to go through that. We all experience it when we play Leagues Cup or we play Champions League, and we get frustrated by it. But the reason why we get frustrated by it is because we wish our players had the ability to do it, right? Because it is a huge strength and it's part of the game. And I just think we're getting slightly clinical in the sense of having a clock that times this and that, and you know, I voted against it. I think we should allow our referees. I think we've got some top referees. I think Marcos that refereed our game against Montreal is a top referee. I think you look across Chris Penso, there's a lot of guys that I think are hugely experienced and have a great ability to control the game in whatever sense of the word that is.
All right, so there it is. Wilfred Nancy and Nick Cushing on the same page. I would have loved to have seen Wilfred Nancy's email, too. Nick is going to share the email with me, and I'm going to ask him if I can read some of it on the air. You know, if he doesn't want me to, I won't, but he is going to send it to me at some point. So what? Yeah, we were our notes here. First, you know, just knowing that Nick, all the coaches were polled.
Yeah.
And we know 2 said no. I'm curious. I would love to know the outcome of the 29 head coaches. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I certainly would. I don't see. I can't possibly envisage anybody being in favour of keeping this rule. It doesn't make any sense. Wilfred Nancy listed reason upon reason about why it doesn't make sense. But for me, the ultimate reason is you are the head of MLS, whoever's introducing this. You are implying that the referees are incapable of doing their jobs.
That's it.
That's it.
It's the simple. That's simple to me.
Yeah.
You don't trust your referees to manage a football game.
To understand the game. You can understand when you can see when somebody's injured and when they're not most of the time.
Right. And if you're uncertain, then you have to accept that they could be. And
I'll go back to and I know it's a horrific injuries, but the injuries to Steiderhaar and to Malachi Jones.
Yeah.
You knew they were injured because they both laid there. They did not move a muscle. You know, the minute someone rolls over and over, they are not injured, because if you're truly injured, you can't roll over and over because you're in pain.
Yeah.
So, really, again, I hate the fact that the powers that be are just saying that our referees are incapable.
When he said, I think this was asked of him, I could only assume, but he talked about the beginning of the game when it happened. The beginning of the game.
Wasting time.
Are you wasting time in the first half of a game? That's crazy. And then I thought this was interesting, where you would train your players, and he's obviously told his players this, I would think, stay on the ground longer. If you're going to stay on for 15 seconds, stay on for 90 to 2 minutes.
Exactly.
So I can bring a couple players over and prepare them for how we want to play for 2 minutes.
or then you're down to 10 men for 2 minutes, so the goalkeeper all of a sudden he's going to have to tie his gloves, or Velcro his gloves or tie his boot up.
Exactly.
And it really is, and I know it's a joke. It is an absolutely ludicrous new law that has been introduced for no decent reason. That's for certain. Glenn, the wind's starting to pick up.
The wind is picking up, and the rain.
Our notes are getting blown everywhere. The rain is coming down now.
I don't know if you can see the rain because it's a little bit
hard. Well, what we know as
here.
well is that the pitch is already absolutely saturated, because it's only just truly drained about an hour ago. When we first, as Glenn said, came to Q2 Stadium, virtually the whole pitch was underwater. There was 2 or 3 really big puddles, but the whole of the pitch was pretty much underwater. Although it was only a small amount, we could still see it across the whole of the playing surface.
If you go on my Twitter, @Crooks, I posted a picture of it because it was pretty stark walking in. Plus, we got soaked before we got in here. But you can see the goal mouths have tarpaulins in front. So that would indicate we do have a sorry, I had to move the camera because make sure my papers didn't blow away. Yeah, it really, we've got a forceful wind now that is entering the arena. Q2 Stadium here, where the other point, the final point on this 2-minute thing, and there might be people watching or listening that think, God, you're spending a lot of time on this. It's because we despise it. We loathe it. It's not good. It's not good for the game.
Well, the other thing is we said it from the start. We said as it was introduced. We didn't wait to see how it manifested itself. We said this before it happened in the first game and how ludicrous it would be. And, of course, coaches agree. Glenn, you were a coach yourself. I played for a long time. we knew that it wouldn't work. We knew that it was saying our referees are incompetent. We do not trust our referees.
I really like the way Nick put it, though, also in my conversations with him, is that, look, when it's you and the opponent's wasting time in the final few minutes, you get ticked off.
Yeah.
But that's part of the game, and then you do the same thing to them, and they're mad at you, and the supporters get crazy. But what Wilfred Nancy said that might have stood out more than anything, and Nick kind of reinforced it, is the preparation to play the street football against these nations that they know how to kill a game. In South America, Mexico, I mean, they're expert at it, right? All these Argentinian games that you broadcasted,
they're masters of it. Uruguayan teams, you can go all around the world as well. Let's be honest, it's not just South American teams. It will be certainly when I was growing up in England and watching, as it was, European Cup games and Champions League games. Now it was always the Italian sides and the Spanish sides always seemed to be master of those dark arts a little bit more than the English sides, and the English sides had to catch up pretty quickly. And of course, with the introduction of the Premier League back in England as well, you now have 60 or 70 different nationalities playing in the Premier League, so you get to learn from everybody all over the globe. And I don't think anybody likes cheating per se, but if it works for you, then you go ahead. And referees still have the ability to control teams when they're cheating. If somebody keeps diving, you book them, and then if they dive again, you book them again, you send them off. Do you think they're going to keep doing it if they keep getting sent off? Of course they're not. It's obvious, and I think you've got to have more belief in your referees, certainly here in MLS anyway.
Yeah. Well, he's Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks. We're preparing for the live commentary. If you're listening on the New York City FC network, we have an extensive pregame live. It's our live stream, which is on the NYCFC Facebook page. It's on my YouTube page. It's on my Twitter, and it rolls 45 minutes before every game. So we've just kind of rolled it in to our radio pregame. So you may be listening on the network, and that's why we haven't hit the intro yet. We'll do all that. We'll talk about our sponsors and do all those good things, and also play the Nick Cushing portion of the pregame show. 12 minutes with the New York City gaffer, who I had discussed the Euros with him and England and how they might set up. It's not included in the pregame interview because the game is over. Congratulations, Matty. I had told people that you'll probably be in a decent mood as England was able to win in penalties, which is
a novelty.
5 for 5, though, man. They drilled them. I mean, there might have been something that had happened with those players over time to maybe be better finishers.
I think so. Look, in the last few tournaments, I'll give England their credit. They have got much better at penalties. I felt when I was growing up, we would lose to Germany in the Euros, in the World Cup, nearly every single competition, and always got put to the sword by the Germans. But the last few years, we've got better. Jordan Pickford, as anybody will know who's been on Twitter or X, whatever it's called nowadays, will see that he prepares very well. His water bottle has listed every single player in the opposition squad and where he should dive or where that player will probably take it. And look, good penalty takers now know that goalkeepers are doing that. So it's a real psychological battle. They will know that the goalkeeper may have written down that they took the last 8 penalties and they went to the goalie's left 8 out of those 9 times, and they will know that, and now they'll maybe switch it up. I think that psychological one-on-one battle.
Oh, it's great. Penalties are intriguing.
It's pretty amazing.
People talk about bringing it back 35 yards, the old NASL shootout. I like PK. I like 12 yards.
So little about technique for me, or a tiny bit about technique, so much about the psychology of that one-against-one battle. And I love it. And I think anybody involved in any sport, any type of athletics.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, that was about technique.
And he's only just come on. And belief, the psychological belief.
For sure.
But technique, the way he hits that way, and just whips his right foot around.
Now, there was an interesting, I think Landon Donovan may have pointed it out, that the substitutions were entered the game a little earlier. He was talking about Marcus Rashford and I'm forgetting the other player who were subbed very late in the previous Euros when they lost at PKs and maybe didn't get a chance to get a feel for the game, get a couple of touches on the ball.
I think that's
so. Maybe
important.
It was managed better this time too.
I think so. I think that you do want to be up to speed with the game a little bit. I know during the penalties you don't need to be up to speed with anything because you just got to run up 5 yards and hit the ball. But you do like to get a feel of the ball. It's like we often say in commentary: if a centre forward gets a chance in the first 10 seconds of a game, Glenn, sometimes you can understand them either snatching at the shot or not providing the greatest of finishes because they've only just got in the game. They're not fully warmed up, and I mean mentally attuned, mentally warmed up as well as physically warmed up. We know they go through a routine 40 minutes in the game, although not 40 minutes before the game today, because we should be kicking off in about 20 minutes, and that's not going to happen here, Glenn.
Well, look, is the picture completely waterlogged in Austin? They probably meant
not now. It was.
It was. So but I'll show it. It's we're not. No one's come out to warm up yet, so that's the. We do have the cones set up. I don't know if this picture will get a little more clear. I'm not sure. My phone is whacking out here. This is from my phone. Anyway, can't really see that clear. You see that the tarp is there, and but it's wet. Yeah. But you don't mind a wet field. You don't want a soggy field,
right? It just depends how long this rain goes on for.
Yeah, it's pouring right now.
We can obviously only look out and see one side of the stadium, or actually three quarters of the stadium. Can't see behind us, obviously. It's black clouds all around. But the good thing is, Glenn, just looking up there, the clouds are moving very quickly. They're moving very quickly from our right to left and moving on. But then if you look even further to our right, there's many, many more black clouds following on behind. So because the pitch was so saturated when we turned up at about 5 o'clock, was it? 5 o'clock Central Time, and it was very much underwater. It did drain very well because the rain stopped for now, but now the rain has picked up again. I would be a little bit worried if I knew that this rain was going on for an hour or two, Glenn. I haven't got the forecast at my fingertips, but it's a pretty heavy rain out there right now, and there must be a little bit of a worry for the groundsmen, anyway, the grounds people, that the pitch may not be able to deal with it. I don't know what kind of system they've got underneath in terms of draining the water away. This is a modern field, so it should be pretty good, and it should be able to deal with the rain.
And there's one more day left of the weekend, so I mean, the departure schedule. Oftentimes, we will leave with the team directly after the game. Yeah. The theory being, and Matt was the first one to really say this to me, is that the players, they don't go to sleep anyway till 3 or 4 in the morning because they're still, just wired from the game. So why not? Let's fly home. And then they can get home by. I'm sure everybody gets home by 2 or 3 in the morning, and then they could just go to bed like they would if they were actually stayed behind. But this plan for this week was to leave tomorrow morning, but it's coming down heavily. There are also potential thunderstorms in the area. And that is why the sign here at the stadium, if we look at the scoreboard over here, I'm not sure if this will, again, I'm not sure how this will work, but there's a scoreboard. That little green rectangular sign on the left of the scoreboard basically says, leave.
Yeah.
But as you can see, there's not everybody's left. Maybe they feel like they're in undercover.
It does say please seek shelter under the stadium canopy or indoors and follow staff instructions. It doesn't say leave.
All right.
Quite often we do see that the fans are asked to move into the concourse areas, but here they haven't been. This is a good ground. It's very well sheltered, and I think unless you're in the front few rows, you are technically undercover and out of danger. If there is lightning, as I say, we can't see behind us, but I haven't seen any lightning strikes in the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes. So there is hope, but we haven't been given any information, Glenn, on when the players are going to come out. And we know even when the players are going to come out, it's still then another at least 30 to 30
to warm up and then get in and then come back out.
Yeah.
So we're in a holding pattern here, and we'll keep it here for now, and also tell you that the Netherlands down a goal to Turkey, and then came back and won it 2-1. So you've got the Netherlands and England, which is fun for me because these guys I golf with quite often. One is an England Man United supporter, and the other is an Ajax Netherlands guy. So I've got to figure out if the three of us could get together so I could look at them shout at each other, during during the occasion.
3 o'clock Eastern time on Wednesday.
3 o'clock Eastern.
Let me know where you're going to be shouting.
Oh, that's right.
I
I might drag this guy down to Darcy's at Bradley Beach. So I'm going to endorse Darcy's because it's a cool place. And if it fills up on the inside, they've got this pretty large area outside with some good screens.
Well, unless it's raining like this.
Yeah, well, it's under canopy. It's under tents. Yeah, it's under tent. You can get sort of food and drinks out on the patio as well. So everything is taken care of. Here in New York City FC and Austin FC, they've never played before. That's always, I suppose, intriguing. They've been in the league since 21, yeah. So... and remember the old days, the good old days when we first started doing these broadcasts, when you would play everyone in the East twice, yeah. And then you would cross over and play everybody in the West once, and it was a nice little schedule.
Yeah,
and then you alternated in the West, home and away, yeah. And then, but since
but the evolution of the league, and I like that as well. The fact that we're getting more teams in and coming to
they have $500 million. You get another expansion franchise now. It used to be like it was under 100. Now it's 500. So, yeah.
But look, you can come to an Austin now, a San Diego, some of the cities that obviously we didn't go to because they didn't have teams. I think it's wonderful. FC Cincinnati as well. I had no inclination to go to Cincinnati. I had many cities that I wanted to visit within the US. Obviously, not being from here, I want to travel. I want to see as much as I can. Cincinnati was not somewhere that was on my list.
What did we do?
Then we went there.
But then what did we do the first time we went there? We went to the baseball game.
Cincinnati
now, Matty, we'll probably go back and do that again someday. But I'm going to encourage you or discourage you. Maybe I'll encourage you. I want to discourage you from being one of those guys that runs out onto the field, and stuff. And this is why. I don't know if you've seen this. This Cincinnati Reds fan was lasered by the officer. This was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've been waiting for the moment to show this on our NYCFC pregame live because I know we've been in Cincinnati to watch a baseball game. So no pitch invading for you, Matty Lawrence, because they take it seriously there at the good old Cincinnati.
That's a seamless link. Thank you for the little nudge, Glenn, to bring in Cincinnati so you could show that picture.
Yeah.
I am kidding, but yes, I will not be running. Well, first of all, I wouldn't be dumb enough to do that anyway.
Okay.
I'd have pulled a hamstring, I'm sure, before I even leapt over the hoardings.
Pouring rain here at Q2 Stadium still, and we're in a delay. Now, the kickoff was scheduled for 8:40 p.m. That's not going to happen. It's now 8:27 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:27 local, 1 hour difference here in Austin. And we will just have to we don't have any further information, and certainly we will pass it along, as is our responsibility as media communication types, so that we can keep you informed as to how this might all be going. I don't know what the Apple TV people are doing, but with Matty and I, you've got lasers, you've got pitch invaders, and you have a Q2 Stadium where...
well, what we do know is the rain is absolutely teeming down right now, Glenn. For us, I know people at home can't see, but we can see on the tarpaulins down there how heavy it is, and those tarps are absolutely covered now in rain, and you can see there's
you can see the sheen off the lights.
Exactly. Yeah. It is coming down. I would say now it's coming down almost as heavily as it was when we showed up about 5 o'clock Central Time and got absolutely drenched.
I just dried off. I hope it doesn't blow in here. Is it? Let's just test the computer here.
I think we're doing okay so far, but on a serious note, the rain is coming down.
Look, there's Matt.
That's a bit too close.
Hey, that is close. And there's our neighbors over here. We don't even know who they are.
That's the Spanish Apple guys.
We've got the Austin Radio over here.
To our left.
They've been very nice to us.
Nobody else seems to be working except us, Glenn.
They are. They're all. Look at these guys.
Not
look at these guys.
Sitting on the desk.
Well, you know what? This young man over here did come over to see if we were okay. He did. Remember what he said? He said, "Oh, we have a music station that we're on. Yeah, we're just going to go back and play
Coldplay."
Coldplay.
Coldplay or Imagine Dragons. He said.
I might have to dig out some Springsteen. Although I'm sure there's copyright issues, so I don't think we can play any music here.
Although Bruce doesn't need the money, he's not going to mind too much.
That's true. All right, here's here's what we will do. All right, I'm going to pull up some commercial elements, combination of commercials and PSAs, part of our pregame show. When we come back, we will do. So I'm going to end the live stream. Sorry, you get a chance to look at us. So I'm going to end this stream.
It's a 45-minute live stream. That's not bad.
That is, we've done all right. And thanks to everyone who does join us for these, and we do appreciate your comments. And one more time, I'm going to put Jake's thing up here one more time because he said, miss having your commentary easily accessible to the broadcast. So people that are watching us now, or if you're listening on the network, when the Apple TV broadcast begins with the game at kickoff, you could sync us and then, be able to hear our commentary whilst watching it. I'd get my little UK whilst.
Sorry, Glenn, I was just looking at the big screen. FC Cincinnati have just gone 3-1 up against Miami. It was 1-1 only moments ago. It's now 3-1 to FC Cincinnati.
How about that?
Sorry, 4-1. 4-1 it is now to FC Cincinnati.
What? Wait a minute. Well, let's do this. Yeah, let's not leave. Let's give a bit of an update here. We have time to do this because we know we're not kicking off in a while.
Colombia just won 5-0 against Panama.
5-0. So Colombia moves on. And Uruguay, Brazil, 8 o'clock local, 9 p.m. So we may be able to just report on these games for the rest. All right, so here we've got, and let's go through this slowly. Yeah, sure. We've got Montreal at home is down to Vancouver, and Brian White, the pride of New Jersey, and the Players Development Academy. And, man, he's become one of the top strikers in the league.
He certainly has.
So his goal at the 29th minute has given to Vancouver a 1-0 lead over Montreal. Columbus closing in at halftime. Cucho Hernandez, no surprise there. He's got one of those Joseph Martinez kind of scoring records for Columbus, as Martinez did with Atlanta in particular in 2018. But it's 1-0 Columbus over Toronto, and that one is at Lower.com Stadium, where they are often delayed by lightning storms. Which the last game they played, they were delayed. All right, let's go to Cincinnati here. Kubo, Acosta, Buca, and Assad have all scored goals. The last one in the 4th minute of stoppage time, and it's 4-1 over Inter Miami. The back, Kristoff scored. So
3 goals in the last 10 minutes of that half. We often mention the last few minutes of a half and stay mentally attuned. 3 goals in 9 minutes before half time.
Well, you've got you really do have a makeshift lineup for Inter Miami. They've done pretty well considering.
Oh no, absolutely.
I mean. We're just looking through it. Taylor, Campana, and Gressel are the front 3. Gressel's a regular. Taylor is too, but with the assistance of Busquets and Messi,
Suarez and Messi
doing a lot of the good things for him. So Miami trailing 4-1 at the half. How about Orlando City? DC United, you just never know with them. They have to lead the league in red cards. There's been a red card at some point in the first half. Let's see if I could find it. It was right at the death of half at the 2nd minute of stoppage time. Lucas Bartlett. So all the goals scored by Orlando City was prior to the red. Yeah. Ojeda, Janssen, and Angulo for Orlando City. So Eastern Conference scores. What else we got here? Philadelphia and the Red Bulls. The Red Bulls just announced before the game that Emil Forsberg is going to be out 4 weeks with some sort of a knee issue. That's pretty huge for them.
That is.
And as for Philadelphia, well, it's 0-0. This is
it could be 7-0 against. So
this is at Stade Saputo. So let's look at the live standings right now in the East. Cincinnati has jumped ahead of Miami in the live standings. In the Supporter Shield race and Eastern Conference, obviously.
And that other game still in hand as well over Miami.
Columbus is in 3rd, the Red Bulls in 4th, and New York City in 5th. And again, this is the live standings as City.
And if I could just say, we just had a lightning strike almost directly above us as well. So that means another 30 minutes added on as well.
All right. I feel like I've got the lungs tonight. I think I can handle this. Charlotte in 6th place behind New York City. Orlando in the 7th hole. Then Nashville. Toronto hanging in there in playoff position. And below them, Atlanta, New England, Montreal, Chicago, Philadelphia right now in the live standings on 21 points. Just a point out of the Eastern Conference basement where DC United sits. So this is a difficult year for Jim Curtin in Philadelphia.
It is, and I quite often will say that managers need to be fired if things are going badly, but I think Jim Curtin has done so well over so many seasons that he's given himself or earned himself some good grace.
Some credit,
Absolutely. No, and look, we all know as well, this Philadelphia team don't spend money either. They predominantly or normally have one of the lowest budgets. We know they have the great academy system, but there's only so long that can last when you keep selling on those good young players as well before you get the true benefit of them. We understand financially you gain from them, but as a team you don't. And Glenn, I'm starting to get a little worried about what's going on out there. The rain
I wonder if there's a chance now people can actually see
more lightning coming just from.
Oh, I think you can see the rain now on the. You see, it's blowing. It's
pretty
almost
bad.
Sideways. And so there's been no movement in terms of any. Somebody's going to have to come up and pick out the cones that have already been set up for the warm up at some point if we don't get this thing in. But look, they're going to wait an awful long time. There's a lot of the evening remaining, and we're not privy to what the Doppler or the forecast that the authorities here in operations are looking at, along with the referees. And I'm sure they're staying in touch with the coaching staff so the players can. You always have to. It's like the standard question that I would ask of a guy that's played a lot of games professionally and has been caught in these situations where the game is halted or doesn't begin. What are you doing right now to prepare?
Well, first and foremost, it depends when you're going out for that warm-up, whether they know. If you know you're not going to go out for another hour, and they'll have better meteorologists down there, they'll have known. If you know you're not going out to warm up for another hour, you might even try and get a 20-minute nap in down there. You might try and do it. There's no point in trying to stay warm for all this time. You'll take a little bit of fluid. You continue to take fluids on board. You'll eat the odd banana, whatever they do, PB&J sandwich, whatever it may be, just to keep loading up a little bit on food, but obviously not too much.
Right.
But for me, it's all down to what they have been told down there. If they knew they were coming out to warm up in the next 10 or 15 minutes, they'd all be standing up. They'd be playing little games of keepy-uppy, whatever it may be. But looking at the weather now, Glenn, I would say they've been told they're not coming out for, at least another 30 to 45 minutes. So, now it's just now it's downtime. Now it is probably watch some of the other games. Just stay
there. You can see
stay focused with football, but you don't need to truly focus upon this game just yet because.
But now you got to worry about the field again. Remember when we came in, it was the rain was coming down like this and for only about a 20-25 minute period, and the flooding on the field began.
Didn't have the fans, the system, the drainage system fully working because the rain's now been going on as long as it was before, and you can't see any puddles on there. So. Modern pitch.
You would expect it to have incredible drainage. You would expect that.
And they do have the great drainage systems under there that just suck the water away.
So that if you're watching this, that looks like fog is actually rain. That is driving rain. It's windy, and wow.
We're in for a long night. I think all of us. And first and foremost, we want everybody.
I'm keeping the stream on. We're going to keep this on. So let's go. We've got a starting lineup for both sides. So let's look at both. Let's look at New York City first. And Matt Freese in goal. Well, there's a shocker. But I just want to get out the Freese notes just so I don't misspeak. So this is going to be his 22nd start. Started every game. So he's 6th in MLS with a 1.19 goals against. He's 3rd in saves, 84. Brad Stuver in the Austin goal has 86. He's in 2nd. And Martin Pass he's got 90 for FC Dallas, and he's in 1st. And he's also an All-Star. What do you think about, I don't get caught up in the All-Star stuff. I really, really don't. But what do you think about Matt Freese not being an All-Star behind a guy like Martin Pass? I don't know. Berkey is one of the keepers, and Lloris. And
so many of the
there's good keepers, right?
Look, I don't care for the MLS All-Star thing. First and foremost, a lot of it is about the voting system as well. Some are voted in by the coach, some by Don Garbo.
Well, listen to this one. Martin Pass recently announced his Indonesia citizenship. I don't know how it all, but he is now eligible to play for the Indonesian national team. Apparently, now I do not have 3 sources of confirmation on this, but a lot of votes for Martin Pas came in from Indonesia because he said, "I'm playing for you guys." They go, "All right, we're going to vote for the all." So I don't know.
It's nonsensical. Look, let's be honest. Look, Lloris, of course, is in because he's Hugo Lloris. Berkey is in because he is Berkey and was so good last season.
Yeah, and they're good.
They are very good. I know they're good keepers as well, but for me, for the All-Star thing, it has to be about what you've done this season.
Especially St. Louis, especially Berkey and St. Louis. It has not gone well.
And Matt Freese has been very, very good. But also the likes of Price and Matt Freese, they've had quite a lot of practice because the defence hasn't been that good for some of the period
and
of
Stuver.
it. And Stuver as well,
yeah.
all 3 of those goalkeepers. But yeah, look.
But Matt Freese, New York City's in 5th place of the table. Yeah. They're probably out of the playoff picture at present if Matt Freese was not in goal. Now, I'm not saying Barraza wouldn't have been able to maybe come up with some of those things, but I think he's been that valuable.
Matt Freese, time and time again, has come up with some very good saves. I'm not talking good saves. I'm not talking about saves that goalkeepers should make. I'm talking about very good saves that lots of MLS goalkeepers wouldn't have made. And I think he's made the odd world-class save as well, Glenn. And you know that I'm quite tough with praise and quite tough with criticism as well sometimes. But he has made undoubtedly at least 1 or 2 world-class saves, Glenn. So you asked the question, I would say, and not having watched every single MLS game, that Matt Freese can feel a little bit hard done by that he is not at the MLS All-Star game. Will that bother him? I don't know. I know a lot of players have it written into their contracts. They get extra money if they're there at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
But from the pure athletics and professional standpoint, there is no way in the world you'd want to be at the All-Star game. You'd want to be relaxing. You wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to be going there getting injured. You wouldn't want to be dealing with that at all. So
I just remember, I think it was Pirlo and Villa were at the All-Star game. They were voted in. I don't know who, if it was a coach. I don't remember, but New York City had a car, and they got them out of there as quickly as possible to get them back because, look at it's a midweek game.
That's what
so Thiago Martins, and congratulations to him because, and Wilfred Nancy, that was a coach's decision. Yeah. So, we played Wilfred a little bit earlier here on this New York City FC pregame live, because he was talking about the 2-minute injury rule, which concurred with our feelings about it and Nick Cushing's feelings about it. By the way, we loathe it. And but Nancy picked Thiago Martins, and I think based on the last 2 months, I think he's deserving. I mean, he's been very good.
He struggled I don't think it's remiss of me to say he struggled at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Not so much defensively, but we knew him and we know him as a wonderfully gifted ball-playing defender. And his distribution absolutely was not abysmal, but it was pretty damn poor, Glenn, at the beginning of the season, wasn't it? It was certainly un-Martins-like, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But within the last couple of months, 2-3 months, his distribution has improved. And I'd probably say his defending has improved a little bit as well. And that says a lot when his defending was just fine anyway. He's a good defender. I think quite often he's a little bit too reliant on his pace getting him out of trouble. So sometimes I don't think positionally he's as good as he should be. But the last few, 2-3 months, he's been very, very good all over.
So
I
don't think you can deny that he's an all-star center back, in this league, in Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Nick Cushing said thanks very much to Wilfried Nancy because Nick Cushing doesn't want somebody like Thiago Martins having to deal with
especially now with Burke Reese. So Burke Reese, we said
Thiago
it earlier,
but played nearly every minute.
Yeah.
You don't want him having to play an extra minute. That's let alone the flight and then extra minutes.
No, whatever Wilfred Nancy likes. Is it a box of candies? Is it a glass of a bottle of red? Whatever it is, you make sure you send it with a note from Nick Cushing. Yeah. Wilfred, thanks for not playing Thiago. We got Burke Reese down right now. Now
let's just comment again. Okay, go ahead. I feel on the field.
Let me see if I can get a picture of it.
The pitch is now starting to flood. There are puddles all over the pitch now.
I've lost my picture.
We're not quite sure how good the drainage is here, but certainly down just below us, the whole of the third of the field down below us is almost underwater. And that's not masses of water, but it is underwater. The ball would not run truly now.
All right, I'm going to get this back so you can see, because it's important. Again,
it is very, very important for timings more than anything.
I want to thank those that are retweeting our stream here, because we have we've more than quadrupled our viewership over the last 10 minutes or so.
So we've now got 4.
So now, stop that.
I'm joking.
So we were going to leave, but we're staying.
We're staying.
We're staying. Yeah, we're going to stay with you. And and we'll come up with let's see. I guess the biggest problem here is I'm not getting good Wi-Fi on my phone.
That's because everybody's jumping on their Wi-Fi to find out what's happening as well.
You are so smart, Matty.
No, but also I feel that there hasn't been any announcements here in the stadium. There's been nothing up on the board. All it says is inclement weather. Due to inclement weather in the area, please seek shelter under the stadium canopy or indoors and follow staff instructions. There's been no updates. Look, it's very clear.
There is the field.
Now it is very clear.
That's what you're dealing with.
Well done, Glenn.
No one's playing on this pitch right now.
No.
So here's what you've got. It's still raining, not quite as heavily as it was 10 minutes ago. But Matty saw lightning also 10 minutes ago, which means at least 20 more minutes before they would even consider players coming out to the field for warm-ups. But I would imagine the players are not going to come out here to warm up on the pitch in its current condition. So you have to wait. I don't know what, we don't have a good enough feel for what the drainage might be here as to how long that might take. Although I guess we had a little test case on the way in, right?
Did, yeah.
What did it take? About a half hour?
Yeah, it was certainly 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And actually the puddles now aren't as bad as they were when we came in. But the thing is, the rain is still coming down. And how long do we leave it, Glenn? Not we. You and I are going to go all night. You and I are going to be here till we fly out tomorrow. That's for sure. But how long do the powers that be, MLS, the referees, how long can you leave the players in there, half warmed up, sort of warmed up? It's going to be testing for, it's very, very testing for the managers, very, very testing for the players, and also it's testing for the fans as well. Let's forget, the players get paid. The fans are paid to get in here. They're sat around right now, and as far as I'm aware, nobody is overly aware of the situation as a whole.
Very
Perfect.
Good, Nelson. Very
Thank
good.
you.
That's it. I came from Tunin. It's now 5 viewers, says Nelson J. You're a funny man, whoever you are, Nelson J. I'm Glenn Crooks.
No, thank you. We're right up there. We are getting some good listenership.
So we're your English hometown commentary team on the radio for New York City FC. Every broadcast, we travel with the team, so we're always in the stadium to do the game for you, and that's why we could show you some of the really ridiculous weather conditions sometimes, and just one more look at it there. There it is. So, but the rain is subsiding.
It is.
It's subsiding.
It is subsiding.
I would say, it's the cloud.
As long as we've not got another band of heavy or really dark clouds coming, I think it looks good in terms of we are hopefully going to have a game on our hands. Certainly we know that the drainage system's very good here, because when we turned up, the puddles on the field were way worse than they are now. The rain is starting to subside. It's still coming down, but I don't think it's overly adding to the puddles. The drainage system will clear as quick as the rain is coming down. But for me, it's what's coming. Bands of weather or clouds are following.
Hey, look, I just got a picture of Nick Cushy when he looked outside to see the weather.
That's what it is.
Good. Oh, yep, that's what it looks like out here. It's not pretty, but we will eventually, as long as the game is played, have the live commentary for you, and we will have our proper pregame, the intro, our presenters and sponsors, which we will acknowledge. The pregame show with Nick Cushing. Is there a PA announcement that we should? Actually, we can.
By the canopy. If you are located in those covered areas, you may remain in your seats. However, if you choose to relocate to the concourse, please do not congregate in the aisles or near the portals. Those in the general admission supporters sections, 101 through 105, will have the option to shelter under the stadium canopy, or to walk up or down the aisles to exit out either end and proceed to shelter beneath the canopy on the main concourse. The portals will not be used, as the South Concourse will be closed during a shelter-in-place situation. Those in the enclosed sections, including the Q2 Field Club, the suite level.
All right, we get the idea, but they're talking about the different routes for people to take to be safe. But they're chanting here. There's the supporter section to our right is, they're ready to go. Let's see if I can.
They are.
They ain't going nowhere unless somebody comes and escorts them out. There they are to our right, the Verde and Green, and it really is something to behold. This Q2 stadium in its structure. It's got the European feel with the stadium cover around and the very pitched seating and standing area for the supporters, and they sell out every game, Matty, and they love their team. They love their team.
Yeah, and look, it's a terrific, maybe not because of the weather right now, but it's a wonderful surround. The pitch is absolutely fantastic as well down there. I know there's a bit of rain on there, but the surface looks very, very good, incredibly flat. Supporters absolutely love it here as well. Look, they're not having a great season, we know that, yet the supporters are still coming out in droves, which is wonderful for me. There's no fickle fan base here, Glenn. They're coming, rain or sun, and win or lose.
So we started with I think we got as far as Matt Freese with the starting 11 and his all-star snub, which he did comment on. He said something to the effect, I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he basically said it was, sometimes these are business decisions not made by soccer people. So he just left it at that and congratulated his teammate, Thiago Martins. All right, at the back, we've got Tavon Gray. Next to him will be Thiago Martins, who we talked about as an all-star. And then Strahinja Tanasijevic will be in for Burke Risa and Kevin O'Toole. He of the many minutes logged, and there is a concern about Kevin O'Toole that Christian McFarlane was definitely going to get one of these 4 road games in the month of July. But McFarlane injured his hamstring, not severely, but enough so that he is unavailable for tonight's game, did not travel with the team. Burke Risa did not travel with the team. So New York City's a little light at the back, but knowing that O'Toole is, and they're looking at the data, they know that he's pushing himself what you don't want to happen there, and remember he had a little hamstring issue, but he came back pretty quickly for that. But what you don't want to happen is for him to get into the red zone on the analytics, and something happened there.
Luckily, he's young and fit, and those type of muscles injuries that he had, the hamstring, they do tend to heal quickly. But what you don't want, Glenn, is for that scar tissue to build up and it to become like a perennial problem, and it happens over and over again. That is why they will have to be very, very careful. I also think they haven't been helped by the fact that the Ilinic and Tavon Gray playing left and right back, a little experiment, that didn't work at all. Right. And Ilinic, the last couple of times he's played, or certainly the last time he played, was very poor. Not only was he poor in terms, I think it's Nashville. Not only was he poor in terms of his play and his quality, but mentally, Glenn, he looked a little bit beaten and a little bit down. I think when there was the hydration break, I think you and I, we both saw, luckily, because we do get to travel with the club, we're right here. Not only was it Mijatovic putting an arm around him and consoling him.
Remember that? That was an interesting moment because he was not accepting. Well. He wasn't accepting the please, stay focused. It's okay. A pat on the back. He wasn't going for that.
No, absolutely. So there was 2 or 3 people tried to tend to his mental weakness in that situation. So I think if he had been playing better, I think that we would have seen Ilinic and Tavon Gray playing left and right back, because you want to protect Kevin O'Toole, because as you said, he's getting up into that red zone. The red zone being he's logged too many minutes. He's coming to the end of his ability to play, at capacity throughout the game. And at that stage, that's when muscle injuries occur. And you definitely don't want that, especially with a player who's only just come back from a hamstring injury.
We're in a weather delay. In fact, I'm reading the Q2 Stadium Twitter. If you want updates on your own on Twitter or on X, it's Q2 Stadium. And there was a lightning strike. This was 40 minutes ago, though. This is the last actual report that we've gotten. As a result of mandatory shelter-in-place protocol for all stadium guests, gates to the stadium remain open, and additional updates will be provided as quickly as possible. Okay, here we go. We've got some more. The latest is our on-site meteorologist expects for tonight's match versus NYCFC to be played in its entirety this evening. That was 23 minutes ago.
Okay.
So that's interesting to note.
Yeah, it is. It has pretty much stopped raining now. The puddles on the pitch have almost gone away, Glenn, as well. That's the good thing. This drainage on this pitch is magnificent. It really is. Just moments ago, it was virtually all of a third of the pitch just below us was underwater. It's now not. Right. I know we can't always see exactly. There might still be standing water down there that we can't see. The ball may not roll, but look, it's looking positive when we're getting those kind of statements. That is for certain.
All right, I'm going to try to get pictures for you again, but yeah, I mean, it changed dramatically in a short period of time, as New York City FC and Austin FC have never played before, but we now move into the midfield. So here
what a hell of a long-winded starting 11, isn't it?
It is normally. Oh, and we should say that the starting 11 is presented by. Come on, where are you? Capital RX, a pharmacy benefits partner you can trust with technology you can rely on. And earlier we gave the out-of-town scores. That's presented by Intercontinental New York Barclay. Now I'm going to give all our partners the proper introduction when we do our proper pre-produced intro. Chris Sakonis coming through with us. A couple of calls on goals.
Chris Sakonis might be asleep by the time we get round to him at halftime.
That's right. It's an hour later. An hour later back home on the East Coast. But we're going to go with James Sands, Keith Parks, and Andres Pereira, which harkens me back to the Coachella Invitational, which I was fortunate enough to attend and do the live streams of the 3 scrimmages for New York City, but also a chance to sit with Nick and say, and Pereira, that was a big get, and they worked hard on that. So I'm thinking, Pereira, Sands, Parks, these are 3 of your better players.
Yeah.
They're all going to play at the same time, right? How are you doing that? And he just sort of chuckled, and the honest answer ultimately was the 3 of them don't play together.
Yeah.
But they are tonight.
Yeah, I think tonight we're going to see a little bit more of a defensive team. That's natural. The team are really absolutely shattered, you would imagine, after the hard work they put in recently. The quick turnaround as well that Austin haven't had. The travelling over here. I would imagine that Sands will sit at the tip of an upturned diamond. It will be Sands with a Pereira and a Parks ahead of him. So there'll be a 6 and a twin 8. There'll be no 10. I don't like Santi Rodriguez playing out on the left because I much prefer him centrally. That's where he does his damage. That's why he scored the goals and got the assists that he's got this season. I know that he's going to tuck in quite a lot of the game, but I think the centre of the pitch is going to be very congested with Pereira and Parks pushed on. I also then don't like the fact that it means that O'Toole's got to get up and down on that left-hand side to provide the width on the left, when we've just said he's almost getting into that red zone as well. Not only that, now he's going to be playing on a pitch that's absolutely saturated, so that takes more out of you as well, Glenn. So, look, I don't massively like the formation, but it's understandable.
All right, we have a lot of people messaging us. What's the deal, man? How long is the delay, man? 2 minutes ago from the authorities here at Q2 Stadium, our on-site meteorologist is now estimating that the current threat of lightning will exit our safety perimeter around 9:15 Eastern, 8:15 local. What time is it now?
It is now 8 o'clock.
Okay. So 8:15 and 9:15. Once lightning has passed, the grounds team will prepare the field for an abbreviated warm-up with an actual kickoff time between, here we go, this is the key. Have to open it up. Between 8:55 local and 9 p.m. So if you're back home on the East Coast, between 9:55 and 10 p.m., we're going to kick off. All right? So it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
It's going to happen. We've had quite a warm-up ourselves here.
Yeah, we have.
And I'm pumped. I'm prepped. I'm ready to go. All right, now let's go to the forward line for New York City FC. We got out of the midfield, but you referred to some pieces there. Santi Rodriguez will be on the left. Alonso Martinez will be rewarded with another start. Why not? Coming off the brace, 8 goals, tying Santi for the team lead in that department. He's a striker who's finishing, and they have no one else. Monsa Bakrar, he's got 2, but he's been given ample opportunity to win the job. Right now it's Alonso Martinez, who's unquestionably Martinez. And then Hannes Wolf, who's just, he's a professional. I mean, and I know you've described some of the things you'd like to see him, maybe get the shot off a little quicker, or, not hold on to the ball for so long, and, different little things like that. But 4 goals, 6 assists, and he assisted on both Martinez goals. And what's really nice to see is they have a relationship that appears to be developing.
Yeah, look, the things I've said, us being analysts and looking for perfection, which you can't have. I like what Hannes Wolf produces, but of course I want him to score more goals. Of course I want him to provide more assists. But what he's given us in the last couple of months is probably a little snippet of how good a player he is. I don't think we saw it at the beginning of his NYCFC career, but sometimes it would be unfair to assume that a player could come in and fit straight into the style of play, the physicality of MLS, and truly understand his teammates. But finally, now he is getting to grips with all of the above. I do say, and I've said it in commentary, Glenn, I think if he had another half a yard or yard of pace, there's no way in the world that NYCFC would be able to purchase him, would have been able to have him. So I think he would be playing at a higher level, and that's no detriment to MLS. I believe that he would be playing in Liga 1 or he would be playing in Bundesliga. I think that he is that good, and I mean the upper echelons of those leagues. I'm not meaning just down the bottom. He's a good player and very technically gifted, and I think there's more to come from him as well. He's of a good age, that is for certain, and he will continue to grow. And certainly in this league, he will continue to grow.
He's only 24 years old.
That's what I mean. That's a great age. That's what I'm saying. He's not going to peak till 27, 28, 29. We haven't seen the best of him yet. That is for certain. Well, I guarantee it.
And it was 1 goal contribution in his first 796 minutes. And now, 1,530 minutes, he has 10 goal contributions. So of recent ilk, Hannes Wolf has been at or near the top of his game. Acquired from Mönchengladbach. I always found it interesting that one of his best friends, Joe Scally, a former homegrown for New York City FC, who is now, he's been predominantly the fullback, or was, for all of Copa America on the right side, with Serginho Dest down with an injury. And Scally just, New York City did good business there.
Yeah,
they did good business there with Scally. For Hannes Wolf, his contract runs through 2027. So if all goes well, he'll be in a New York City uniform when they kick off at the new sponsor to be named stadium.
And when he's hit his peak
Point
as well, in 3 years' time, he'll be 26, 27 years of age, maybe 27, 28. He will be peaking. And it will be great to see him like in his pomp, truly understanding the league. But I do think that if he carries on progressing as he is, he may well be on his way at some point. I don't think NYCFC minds that. I think they want to get the best out of their players, obviously, and then sell them on. It's been proven with Joe Scally, with James Sands going to Rangers. I know that was on loan, but they would have expected him to do better at Rangers and to be sold to Rangers. Castellanos, those types of players.
That ended up working
too. As well going on.
That was again, good business and risky business too. Loaning Tati Castellanos with the hope certainly, but you're also from an educational and evaluation standpoint, you knew that they felt that very strongly that he was going to produce in a way where he would get that next big contract, which did happen. By the way, Hannes Wolf, we talked about Matt Freese earlier. I sat down with them within the last month or so. The podcast I do is called On Frame. Spotify, Apple. It might be other places too, but that's just two I know of. But if you go on there, you can. They're real interesting interviews, I think, and you get to know the personalities a little bit more. The Freeze thing, Harvard, completing his degree while he's playing. Hannes Wolf having to move here and living in a hotel for a while, and now he lives in West New York, overlooking the Hudson. He's like, wow, this New York place is not so bad. So he's. But he's fit in well, and it took a while for him to settle in, as it does really anyone that comes through. And then Alonso Martinez, let's just spend some time about him, and then Santi Rodriguez. And once again, according to Q2 Stadium operations, this game will kick off. We're in a lightning delay, although lightning has moved out of the area. Now the grounds crew, we're awaiting their arrival to come and work on the field a little bit. There will be an abbreviated warm-up. The anticipation is that Eastern time, 9:55 or 10 o'clock, will be the kickoff for Austin FC, New York City FC. But Alonso Martinez, it's a great story because, first of all, he comes in last summer, Costa Rican. Really, you never got a feel for what he might be able to do because he didn't play. Yeah. He played 3 games, minimal minutes, was on the wing, and there was just really no opportunity for the guy. Then preseason hits, Jovan Mijatovic, it's hopeful that they're going to get him. They're in negotiations. Boom. It doesn't happen until a little bit later on. So out in preseason, out of Coachella, he becomes the backup striker to Monza Bakrar, really out of necessity because they didn't want to play Bakrar, 90 minutes in a preseason friendly, 4 games. Or 3 or 4 games, which, by the way, preseason, ironically, ended at this stadium. New York City came down here and scrimmaged Austin FC leading into the opener at Charlotte. But Alonso Martinez gets moved to striker, really doesn't, it's like, I talked to Nick about it. He goes, he just doesn't seem, tactically, Nick was concerned. But then finally, this guy had pace, he was finishing, and Nick said, we're throwing him out there. We're put him out. Ooh, I thought that was lightning.
That was lightning.
Okay.
Well, the meteorologist on site's a good one.
We're not sure if that's going to tack on another 30, but I will get back on the Q2 11 minutes ago. It still says it's 9:55 or 10 p.m. Eastern kickoff. All right, well, we'll stand by. But we did see another flash. It wasn't a bolt, but it was a flash.
5-1 FC Cincinnati as well.
Wow. FC Cincinnati crushing Inter Miami tonight, which moves them into the Supporters Shield lead. How about that? We'll go over some of the scores in just a moment. Martinez he's really been a revelation. And the moment, of course, that really stands out is scoring the only hat trick after the 85th minute in MLS history. And he did it as a reserve. And he becomes just the 7th reserve in MLS history to score a hat trick. And that gave him his 4th, 5th, and 6th goals. So he had shown something earlier, but came on, and that was against San Jose. And then gets the brace for the winners in the most recent match against Montreal. And that second finish, and you really described it really well on commentary, how that was not an easy finish over his shoulder, hit it first time.
And he made it look easy. That's the thing for me as well. I don't think unless you'd played the game or, you've caught a baseball over your shoulder, caught American football over your shoulder, whatever it may be, it's a hard skill to be looking back and then the ball whatever ball it is, comes over your shoulder. The good thing for me was he didn't snatch at it. He didn't try to hit it too hard. He kept it down and it was a good finish. And Glenn, we did think we saw lightning. Sorry, just to come back off of Alonso Martinez, but the staff are out there. They are taking the tarp off on the goal just down to our left. So it can't have been within the 8-mile radius. It must have been way off in the distance. But Alonso Martinez has earned the right to wear the shirt. He has earned the right to be the football club's number 9. He's been fantastic in front of goal whenever given the opportunity. He could have had 4 in the last game against Montreal. He had 4 very good opportunities. But guess what? He took 2 of them. He took 50% of them. That's not a bad return at all if you have, those kind of opportunities.
And of course, all we do, we just sit here and calculate goals per minute. And he's now at, I don't want to be in error. 1 goal every 81.5 minutes.
It's not bad.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. Yes, it's a goal a game, or less than a goal a game. We've now got also down there quickly just to keep everybody
keep it going.
We've got Tim Ford, the referee, down there. They're obviously rolling the ball over the field just to check that it's moving correctly over the surface. They are playing the ball. I can see the referee and his assistants passing the ball, and it does look as though it is moving okay on the field. And we have got Matty Belushi's down there as well. They're going to be down there putting on the cones as well. It's hard to see on the camera, but I can guarantee you
that group of people in the middle there by the edge of the center circle. One is the 2 New York City assistants.
Yeah, it's
Leon and Matty.
Yeah.
And
look, they're happy. I can't lip read, obviously, but it looks as though the ground crew has told them to leave. They can't put the cones out yet, which is quite strange. The referee's allowed out there, but the coaching staff aren't allowed out there.
And there are the 2 New York City assistants
walking slowly trudging off the field.
They wanted to get going here. You know, this is the road team. When you're the road team during a lengthy delay like this, it's got to be a little more difficult.
Yes. I would imagine, and again, this is a modern stadium. I haven't had a guided tour, but I would imagine that the home dressing room has a big warm-up area, so the players can have a warm-up. Would they give one to the away dressing room? If I was building a stadium, absolutely not. I would not give a warm-up area to the away team. I don't want them to have the advantages that I have in my own stadium. Who knows? We can ask Nick Cushing later, but that would be my thoughts. I don't know whether there's any rules or regulations from MLS saying you have to supply a warm-up area. Maybe you do in the US because of the large amount of storms that we get, but we'll see. Anyway, Alonso Martinez, he's a good centre forward.
We're going to get to Santi in a moment. Let's go over some scores here. And we're going to give Intercontinental New York Barclay, proud partner of the New York City Football Club, the out-of-town scoreboard. In the 75th minute, Vancouver continues to lead Montreal with Jersey's own Brian White scoring the Vancouver goal. Columbus. I was
going to say Jersey's own Bruce Springsteen. I was going to say, when did they sign him?
Well, the Euros in Germany, and one big event happened outside of the Euros, and that was Springsteen last night in Hanover, I believe it was. Columbus 2, Toronto 0, and that's in the 68th minute. The goal scorers there are Cucho Hernandez and Christian Ramirez. Every time I see him get a goal, and I just love the fact he's at Columbus with Wilfred Nancy. FC Cincinnati, it's 6-1 now. Holy smokes. They're over. Inter Miami also has Busquets got red carded in his second yellow in the 63rd minute.
Oh, look at that. Second yellow in 2 minutes. 62nd and 63rd minute.
So it must have been the foul and then the complaining.
Probably, you would assume.
So Busquets is out, which means he'll miss a game. 6-1. And again, this is a TQL stadium. Yeah. So Cincinnati, the home side here. And forgive me for being out of the picture if you're still watching. But Orlando now 3-0 up. Oh, they were. At 69th minute, still 3-0. Orlando at home at Exploria. Is it called Exploria still? I think it's something else. 3-0 over DC United.
It's
a red card in that game.
Is it Camping World?
No, that's the Citrus Bowl. That's Camping World. It's called something else, and I forget. The Red Bulls and Philadelphia in Chester, Pennsylvania. They are 0-0. No score there, and they're in the 73rd minute. You've got Salt Lake, RSL, playing host to Atlanta United, and Seattle against New England, both starting a little bit later on. And here we're in a weather delay. I'm going to revert back to the Q2 stadium site. And there is no update. The latest, and this came 17 minutes ago now, is that we are going to kick off at between 9:55 and 10 p.m. Eastern time, 8:55, 9 local. Yeah.
No, it sounds like there's another announcement.
Hold on.
I like it when you love it on me.
Oh, maybe not.
Wait, here we go. Hold on.
One hell of an announcement.
Can I go on record about it? I don't like that. I don't even know what that was, but I didn't like it.
It certainly wasn't an announcement.
Santi Rodriguez to round out the starting 11 for New York City FC. And what can you say? Not an all-star, which, that's an area of the pitch in MLS. Look, attacking DPs, that's there's a lot of good players
He's
out there.
dealing with Acosta, Hani Mukhtar, those types of players.
Right.
It's very, very hard for him. But what we can say is that he's living up to his DP tag right now. He's providing the quality in terms of numbers of goals and assists. He may not quite be up there with some of those other guys, but he's not too far off. And again, he is at a young age where he is still progressing. He's still gaining experience. He's still learning the game. He's still learning how to truly become a professional footballer, how to look after himself, how to get the best out of his body in terms of prehab, in terms of when he should use the gym, which weights he should be doing. I think it'd be stupid of me to say anything other than I know he's going to go on and be a very good player and have a very good career because he's already a good player.
But now, so when we talk about Santi, so he's 24 years old. Remember, he was at Montevideo beginning of preseason. It was still unclear as to whether Santi Rodriguez was going to be part of the club. Eventually, he and his agent and David Lee came to an agreement on a contract, a designated player contract. So that puts a little added, no question, right? If you're DP, you have more pressure on you.
Absolutely,
yes?
of course.
And and he has really begun to produce in that manner. But looking ahead, because we talked about Hannes Wolf being here for the opening of the stadium as long as his health is maintained and he doesn't transfer. But as long as he continues to be happy here and the club with him and however that works out, but he has signed through 27. Does someone like Santi Rodriguez, is he still part of the situation? And which players are?
Well, if Santi Rodriguez is still here when the stadium opens, he won't have fulfilled his potential as a footballer, in my opinion. And he will be off playing in the Brazilian league. He will be off playing in the Bundesliga. He will be off playing somewhere. I can't that's in terms of what I would want to do as a footballer for him. Guess what? Maybe if NYCFC think he's so good, we'll give him $3-4 million a year. He probably wouldn't be able to get that anywhere else, so he may want to stay. I'm just saying in pure terms of fulfilling his potential, I would love to see him in the biggest leagues in the world, and that would be the area where we are, the Americas. It would be the Brazilian top flight, and then you go to Europe, and it would be Serie A, Bundesliga, possibly Ligue 1 if you're at the top team or two there, or the Premier League. That is, for me, him fulfilling his potential as a footballer.
So now he's playing mostly the 10. We figure he'll be out on the flank. I go back to, last year we all said it just was not a productive season for him. 5 goals and 8 assists. New York City doesn't make the playoffs. No coincidence, perhaps, that Santi had a down year. But, don't forget, like in 22, when they did go to the playoffs and won in Montreal and then lost to Philadelphia, the Eastern Conference Final, he only had 4 goals, but he had 13 assists, and he had 3 playoff assists that year. So there was, you saw the production value of this guy and the potential of this guy. You wonder what happened last year. Was it the fact that he didn't have anybody consistent to maybe
he didn't look happy last year. I don't think, to play well in any sport, you have to be happy in what you're doing. You have to have belief in what's going on around you. To me, he didn't look overly comfortable with either what he was being asked to do or with the team as a whole. Obviously, you're showing us now the goalkeepers are warming up as well, Glenn. So we know we are going to have a game on our hands. But just as you said that, there was lightning.
There was more, but I don't know if you could see that. I had where those dark clouds are right there where I'm pointing.
I don't know.
There was lightning. We just don't know how far it is.
An 8-mile radius, doesn't it, for it to affect us? But the players are still out there. The meteorologist has said everything's fine. So let's maybe not get a distance marker on those lightning bolts because they look relatively close to me.
Yeah. Well, that's the New York City gang to our left, goalkeepers and Coach Rob Vertugian. And for you Brad Stuver fans, again, I can't zoom in off of this particular shot. But that is Brad Stuver at the right edge of the penalty area as you look at it here, walking towards the Austin supporters. And, well, Brad Stuver, the thing about Brad is his story. And by the way, Brad Stuver on frame when up at preseason while he was training with Austin. I got a chance to sit with him and Josh Wolf. That's up there too if you want to listen to the Austin coach. So Brad Stuver, the first 9 years in MLS, first 9, first with Columbus and then New York City FC, he played 9 games. Now, Matty, how do you maintain? There's a couple of things there. Maintaining your physical skills, right?
Yep.
How how you keep yourself fit and in shape, and then the training beyond that to become better without playing, right? Because if you don't play, and that's a position. If you don't play, it's really, really hard to develop. Well, in 4 years here at Austin, he's been the number one, 119 games, and he's been a big part of. Look, anytime he does anything tonight, you're going to hear Stu. He's a fan favorite. He's gone into the community and done the kind of work that he and his wife did both in Columbus and New York City with the laundry and that opportunity for the underserved. Beyond that, here in Austin, Matty, he's got an IPA. He helped create an IPA. So I haven't had this Stuver IPA yet. I'm afraid to have it because if I don't like it, I don't know what I'm going to say. But it's so he's rocking and rolling,
Yeah, he is. How do you deal with it mentally? You have to be very, very tough. I think as a goalkeeper, you learn that some goalkeepers are going to be a number 2 for large swathes of their career. It's something they have to come to terms with. And he certainly came to terms with it very, very well. As you said, I've got my notes down here. To start 9 games in 5 seasons, that's quite unbelievable. To then all of a sudden, then become a starting goalkeeper. Now how almost are you not tired out mentally that you're now all of a sudden you're having to concentrate Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, and travel across country and things like that and stay into the game. And a latter stage of his career as well. I know he's only 33, so for a goalkeeper, he's still got 5, 6, 7 years ahead of him. You would imagine somebody like him of his intelligence levels as well. He's somebody who's going to look after himself. There's not masses of wear and tear on his body because he hasn't played that many games. But granted, he's still trained a lot. He's probably played reserve games a fair amount. But yeah, full credit to him. And it's probably been hard for him the last couple of years as well, conceding the amount of goals they have done. 55 goals they conceded in 2023. That will hurt him personally. Right. He's certainly. Oh, it was
I said 67 earlier. That was the LA Galaxy. What'd you say? 55.
55 in 2023. Yeah.
And they use. You know how many center backs they use? And you being a central defender will appreciate this. 8.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's tough, isn't it?
I mean, well, you have to grow a relationship as a centre half with your centre half partner. Yep. That normally will take 10, 15 games.
Sure.
Certainly 5 to 10 bare minimum. But also you've got to develop a relationship with your goalkeeper. Your goalkeeper's got to develop a relationship with the centre halves as well. So yeah, that's the reason, or one of the reasons why they conceded so many. Conceded 53 goals as well in 2021. He's had a lot of practice, which that sounds, a little bit tongue in cheek, but he has. He's had a lot of practice. It's helped him develop. He's got used to letting in goals as well. So, he's not somebody who only concedes 1 goal in every 8 games, and so when he does, his head drops. He's had to get used to conceding goals, unfortunately, which is a goalkeeper.
Well,
you don't want to get used to
1.43 goals against. He's a good keeper. 30 goals. So they're still leaking plenty of goals. In 2024 as well. And if you would take a quick look at the conference standings, these are the live standings, by the way. We just gave you some of the updated scores, and there's going to be some finals that we're going to be able to give before we even kick off here. All right, we are going to have to end the stream soon. I'm not exactly sure how to time this, but since the keepers have started warming up.
It's 8:23, so I would imagine we're about 31, 32, 33 minutes from kickoff.
33.
About that.
Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes left with you. So really nice for people to hang with us. And,
thank you.
And we see the number of people that are watching, and it's the Eastern Conference table has Cincinnati on top of Miami now by virtue of a 6-1 current score line in Cincinnati. Then it's Columbus at the number 3 spot. The Red Bulls are 4th, New York City 5th, Charlotte, Orlando, Nashville, and Toronto. Those are your playoff teams right now, top 9. Atlanta, Montreal, New England, Chicago, Philadelphia, second for the bottom, and DC United in the basement. On the west side, LAFC is ahead of RSL and the Galaxy by virtue of that July 4th Rose Bowl win against the Galaxy, 70,000 plus for that game.
You can probably hear the players are coming out.
Oh, there must be players coming on. Colorado is in 4th, Vancouver, Portland, Houston, Minnesota, Seattle, Austin. New York City's opponent tonight in 10th place. They're a single point behind Seattle at the beginning of tonight's affairs. All right, so we're going to pause for a moment here. If you're listening on the New York City FC network where you don't see Matt's pretty face and you're just listening to his mellifluous tones, then...
Does that mean boring?
That might be the second or third definition. Yeah. We're gonna pause. We're gonna play some commercials, and then we will rejoin you on the network only. And go to the network, sync the game up with the Apple Television broadcast, and listen to the rest of this. And we're ready to go now, and so are the teams, as they will have what is called an abbreviated warm-up. But we're looking at a 9:55 or 10 p.m. kickoff Eastern Time, New York City at Austin. So go over to the network, nycfc.com/radio, NYCFC app, or TuneIn app. For Matty Lawrence, I'm Glenn Crooks. We'll talk to you again in a moment.